So all week, the Eagles had to make a decision on Britton Covey. Do you put him on the active roster, or do you risk losing him altogether? Well, today, the Eagles finally made that decision.
Still the cowboy, Mr. McLean. You Americans are all alike. But this time, John Wayne doesn't walk into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
Scary Cooper, asshole!
Oh, Diva! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! That was crazy!
Happy trails, Hans. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here. I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. We are less than 24 hours from Jags, Eagles. Cannot wait. This is going to be a great, great game. And today, the Eagles finally made a decision on Britton Covey. And what does it mean? It means that Philly 500 is going to be holding his breath every time the Jaguars punt. Now, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, hit that like button. More importantly, make sure to subscribe if you like the content. And if you've been subscribed for a while, you know the deal. Double moonwalk check. Make sure you're still subscribed. So, as we talked about earlier in the week, the Eagles were going to have to make a decision on Britton Covey. They had brought him up 3 times, which is the maximum they can bring him up from the practice squad, meaning they had to make a decision. Do they keep him on the active roster or not? Now, there was a lot of speculation. Maybe they would just let him go. Maybe they're going to put somebody else and let somebody else do punts. I was talking about Boston Scott doing punts or Kenneth Gainwell. But today, the Eagles have signed wide receiver Britton Covey to the active roster. They also elevated Andre Chachera from the practice squad for Sunday's game. Now, we'll get into Chachera in a second. But as far as Britton Covey goes, I don't know what to make of this because I think the kid has some talent. I think he has a chance to do stuff once he develops. But I just feel like he's not ready to be out there in the NFL yet. I just think he's too raw. He needs time. He should stay on the practice squad and develop. The Eagles don't feel that way, and he's going to be on the active roster, which means he is going to be taking the punts. Now, what's interesting and what could be happening, we have to wait and see, is next week they have to make a decision, I believe, on Andre Dillard. He comes off the IR. Now, if he comes off the IR, the Eagles are going to have to make a roster cut. Are they just going to cut Covey then? Or who's going to get cut now off the roster? Who do you want to get cut off the active roster to allow Andre Dillard? So it's going to be interesting. Will it be Britton Covey? I don't know. I would not be shocked. They signed him to the active roster. He plays one more week. Dillard, if he comes back, then they cut Covey to make the spot, and he would be the guy to go. And maybe they're just thinking we'll get one more week out of him. I don't know, But as far as special teams goes, as far as the return game goes, I think Covey's got some talent. I think he's got some skill. At least he's been able, for the most part, to actually catch the ball. But we had that last year with Greg Ward Jr. I just think he should have stayed on the practice squad. He should have developed on the practice squad and give him a year. Let him develop, and then next year, let's see how he does. But it is what it is. Looks like Covey's going to be returning punts. And like I did during my streams last week, I'm going to be doing it again. Every time they punt, because it makes me nervous, He makes me nervous. He took some big shots, too, last week. So we'll see. I still think the special teams in the return game is an area of concern. It's an area the Eagles have to figure out. And maybe Covey, maybe all he needs is time. Maybe going out there and doing it. Maybe he'll start getting it. And who knows, maybe by, week 8, week 9, he starts to be pretty good at it. We'll see. But it makes me nervous right now. I'm not going to lie. Oh, man. It's crazy. I thought Boston Scott would have been the guy to do it. And the other thing I got to say, no Devontae Smith. Do not put Devontae Smith out there. It's too risky. I don't want him getting injured. Okay? Now, the other thing is, as I said, Andre Chachera I know I say his name wrong, and I apologize. He was brought up from the practice squad. This is a guy I kind of like. I kind of liked what I seen from him in preseason. I liked what they said about him at practices and things like that. So I'm okay bringing him up, but my idea is probably this. I think with Avonte Maddox out tomorrow, I think you're going to see Chauncey Gardner-Johnson most likely playing Avonte Maddox's spot. He's going to be playing that nickel corner spot. That's what I think they're going to have him do. I think he's going to primarily play it, and so that's why they're bringing up another safety. We'll see how they handle it. But Christian Kirk, I mean, Christian Kirk went to the Jaguars all season. He was one of those guys that I was interested in early in free agency because I thought adding another slot receiver would have been tremendous for the Eagles. But he just got way too much money. The Jaguars gave him way too much money. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? But I would say put Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the slot. Let him play Avonte Maddox's position for the most part, which means he's going to be up against Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, really, I'm not going to lie, he's really the only guy in the passing game that worries me a little bit. The other guys, like Jones and stuff, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, I don't really, yeah, they're all right, but I'm not, like, fearful of them. Christian Kirk can beat you, and he can beat in the slot. And he's been a good signing for the Jaguars so far. So you've got to be totally careful. So I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is the guy, is the right guy to put it out there. That's what I would do. This is going to be an interesting game. You know, the Jaguars have only given up 2 sacks all year. If you don't get pressure on Lawrence, you're going to have a tough game. You know Doug Peterson is going to have his players ready to play. You know Doug Peterson is going to be up for this game. So the Eagles, they better be at their best tomorrow. They better be at their best. Getting to 4-0, to me, is such a bigger deal than being 3-1. There's a big jump between 4-0 and 3-1, in my opinion. Because let's say you go 3-1, then you go to Arizona. Let's say somehow you lose. All of a sudden, you're 3-2. You're with the rest of everybody. But if you're 4-0, and let's say you were to lose, you're still only 4-1. You're still 4-1 ahead of the pack. So 4-0 is a huge thing. It's really, really, really important for the Eagles. So they have to win this game. They have to be ready for this game. No letdown whatsoever. And I don't think they'll have one. I do think it's going to be a close game. I do think the Jaguars are scrappy, and I think the Jaguars are going to play us tight and tough. The weather is going to be another issue. Last I saw, they're talking about it could be windy, so that's a problem. I think the running game is going to be big tomorrow. I think Miles, Gainwell, and then Trey Sermon. What are we going to get from Trey Sermon tomorrow? I'm actually very excited to see Sermon play because to me, Sermon has the best opportunity to be a short yardage back if you need him to be. I don't like when the Eagles are in like 3rd and 1 and they bring Boston Scott in. I would prefer Miles Sanders, but they act like Boston Scott is a short yardage back. He's not. I know he's small and low to the ground and he gets lost behind the offensive lineman, but I still think you need to have somebody who's an actual bruiser. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting tomorrow. But Britton Covey is now on the active roster, and this is going to be an interesting situation when Andre Dillard comes back off of the IR and they have to make a spot for him. Is Covey the first one to get cut? And speaking of Andre Dillard real quick, okay? Trading Andre Dillard sounded great in the preseason. It sounded great if we could get the right thing for him. But with the loss of like Raven Clark and some of these offensive linemen that have been off of our practice squad, I don't know how the Eagles could go out and trade Andre Dillard at this point. I think you have to keep him because you have to have some depth on the offensive line. If something happens to Mailata, you need Andre Dillard. At least to bring him in, he's a capable left tackle. So unless I get like a first-round pick for Andre Dillard, I don't see how you can do it. The Raven Clark going off it. I mean, at least he had some practice. He had some experience at that tackle position. I felt like if you needed to have him, maybe he could play. But when you lose him and you lost more depth, I don't think the Eagles have a choice with Andre Dillard. I think the only thing that they can do at this point is keep him on the roster, and then you're going to probably lose him for nothing next year, which really sucks. I hate losing that guy and losing a first-round pick who's just going to walk out the door. You get nothing for him. But unless somebody is going to overpay I don't see how you can trade him when he comes back, but he will be back soon off of the IR. That's a good thing, and then we'll find out how permanent Britton Covey on the active roster is actually going to be, because I'm not sure I'm not sure it's going to be long once the Eagles need a spot. I mean, if I had to look at the Eagles 53-man roster and say, all right, well, I have to bring Andre Dillard off of the IR, who am I willing to cut? It would probably have to be Britton Covey. I'll probably say, you know what, I can get that production out of Boss Scott, Gainwell, and so we'll just go from there. Let's hope he clears waivers, and then we can bring him back to the practice squad. But we're going to see. But when Andre Dillard comes back, the Eagles are going to have to make a decision, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any way to trade Andre Dillard. Just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Hobby Vision. We're all just living in it. So I don't know if you guys just saw, but Jameis Winston has been ruled out for tomorrow's game versus Minnesota, which I think is in England. It's going to be like really early. But Andy Dalton's going to get the start, and I absolutely love this. Everything when it comes to the New Orleans Saints is going the Eagles' way. Can you smell it? Can you smell it? Top 5 picks, mother humpers. Denzel Washington out.